On April 29th, 2002, in the quiet town of Pataskala, Ohio, a social worker sat cross-legged on the floor, across from a toddler clutching a stuffed toy. The child was only 2 years old. Just hours earlier, her mother had been brutally murdered inside their home. Investigators believed the little girl might have seen something, anything that could explain what happened. At first, she said nothing. She stared at the floor, squeezing her toy tighter and tighter. Then, after gentle encouragement, she nodded and softly spoke a name that would tear multiple lives apart. But before we dive in, if you enjoy unsettling real-life mysteries told like stories, you're in the right place. We post several times a week. And also please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications. Now, let's begin. The evening of April 28, 2002 was supposed to be ordinary. 38-year-old Rhonda Boggs sat in the living room of her mother-in-law's house, watching the clock. Her 2-year-old daughter Amanda played nearby. Rhonda's husband Dave was supposed to call soon. Dave wasn't working late. He was sitting in county jail, serving a short sentence for failing to pay child support to one of his ex-partners. While Rhonda tried not to be bitter, this situation wasn't exactly shocking. Dave had always lived recklessly. Years earlier, that carefree attitude was what attracted her to him. He played in a rock band, stayed out late, and lived without a plan. But now they were nearly 40 with a child and real responsibilities. And Dave hadn't changed. The phone finally rang. Rhonda answered. She wanted to tell him everything, that she was exhausted, that she was thinking about leaving, that she had already removed his name from her retirement plan, but standing nearby was her mother-in-law. So instead, Rhonda simply said, "Hey, how are you?" Later that night, back at her own house, Rhonda prepared dinner while Amanda watched cartoons. She tried to mow the lawn before it got dark, but the mower kept dying. A neighbor offered to lend his, but Rhonda declined. Dinner was almost ready and she was too tired. She made a mental note to call Dave's cousin Nick the next day. He had been helping her with repairs while Dave was locked up. Inside, she served dinner. Food landed on the floor more than in Amanda's mouth. Rhonda laughed softly and fed her daughter herself. Amanda was the reason Rhonda stayed, the reason she hadn't walked away yet. Then, she heard something, heavy footsteps. Through the curtain, she saw a shadow moving up the driveway. The next morning, Rhonda didn't show up for work. That alone was alarming. Her co-worker, Gary Pulowski, tried calling her home. No answer. After an hour, he drove toward her house, worried she might be stranded. Her car was parked in the driveway. Gary knocked. Nothing. Then he noticed movement behind a window. A toddler, crying. Gary convinced Amanda to open the door. Inside, he saw blood-stained footprints. He grabbed the child and ran for help. Police soon arrived. Rhonda Boggs was found stabbed to death in her kitchen. This was the town's first homicide in 6 years. The crime scene told a violent story. Over a dozen stab wounds, signs of a struggle. Blood everywhere. The weapon, a kitchen steak knife. The house had been torn apart, jewelry gone, drawers dumped, a purse emptied. It looked like a robbery. But there was no forced entry. Then Rhonda's sister arrived, devastated. She mentioned Rhonda had been considering divorce. Her husband, Dave, was in jail. But could he have been involved indirectly? Investigators weren't convinced. There was only one witness left. Amanda, a social worker, sat with the toddler. Amanda made a stabbing motion toward her neck, then whispered that her mommy fell asleep. When asked who else was there, she answered, Nick Robinson, Dave's cousin, had been helping Rhonda with repairs. Police quickly located him. Blood appeared on his hat. Blood-like stains were found in his vehicle. During a long interrogation, Nick denied everything. Until hours later, he confessed. He claimed it was an accident, but something didn't sit right. Days later, Amanda was interviewed again. This time, she named someone else. Then came a phone call. A bandmate of Dave's believed another man, Chris Williams, was responsible. Chris had robbed the Boggs family before. A private investigator was hired, and what he uncovered changed everything. Bartenders confirmed Nick was drinking miles away during the murder. Travel times didn't add up. DNA on the knife didn't match Nick. Eventually, stolen property led investigators to a blue Cadillac, sold the day after the murder. Inside, Rhonda's belongings. The trail led to Chris Williams, high on drugs, desperate for money. He stormed into Rhonda's home that night and killed her. Chris Williams was convicted in 2005. Nick Robinson was cleared, a life destroyed, and another nearly lost to a false confession. And all of it began with the words of a frightened child. After Chris Williams was charged, all the charges against Nick Robinson were dropped. And for Nick Robinson, this completely changed his life. Not just because now he was free, but once he came back home, he stopped drinking and he returned to work. And he sued the city of Pascala for $3 million in damages. So that was all for today. Let me know what you thought of today's story in the comments. See you next time.